All right, people. Good night to everyone out there. Hopefully, you guys are doing extremely fine. Tonight, I am your host, MG Sports Mario Dakers. As you guys know, we have our honorable guest on the platform tonight, Mr. Dennis Chung, General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation. And for sure, people, let me tell you, it won't be a long one because time is a bit against us for this one. But definitely, in the short time span, we will see how much we can cover, how much details we can get in, how much information we can pass in the shortest time span. As we bring on Mr. Chung. Good evening, Mr. Chung.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I've been trying to get this interview for a while now.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, we know
But
a lot happening.
yeah, it has been a pressure in time. I mean, we had the under 17s
Mm-hmm.
tournament. We had the women in Australia, and also the Adidas deal
Yeah.
that's happening tomorrow. Also, I'm on my way off to CONCACAF Congress,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the under 20 women's coming up. And next month we're starting the preparation really some matches, international matches for the
Mm-hmm.
men's senior team. We have in Trinidad the 11th and the 14th in Jamaica, mostly with local persons because the coach is trying to do his assessment now between this match, um, the match in Mexico Nations League
Mm-hmm.
next month, also in preparation for Gold Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been a extremely busy period. I know the girls are in the middle of their campaign to prepare for World Cup, which is in the summer.
All right. Yeah, definitely fine. The thing is, for me personally, I have watched a lot of interviews with you guys, with both you, Mr. Speed, the president. But for
Yeah.
me, I'm not really much of a political person. I don't really like getting to the deep political aspect of things. But I would love to have a breakdown on the structural hierarchy of the JFF. I'm going to start off with some boundary questions, pretty simple
Yeah.
questions.
Give me 1 minute now.
Okay, all right.
Let me just do something. Come back. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, no problem. All right, so is just give me a second. People, smash the like button if you're here coming in. Would thoroughly appreciate it if you guys do so.
Yeah, man. I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem at all. So I'm gonna start off with some very, very simple questions. Basically,
Yeah.
for me personally, I want to have a definite idea. I don't like to speculate. Well, everyone speculates, but I want to have a definite idea. So I'm just gonna ask some boundary questions. I'm sure you have heard many of these questions time and time again. So we all know that you are the general secretary of the Jamaica Football
Right.
Federation. But I would love to know what are the criterias to become the general secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation.
Well, I mean, the general secretary is the person who is responsible for the full administration of the football in Jamaica, really, because while we have under a new constitution our direct members, which are the parishes, the tier one and tier two clubs for men and women, and seven other associations such as the referees association, the coaches association, um, ISA, past players association, and three others. We also include PFGL also. We also are the ones who basically oversee everything. So the referees, we have a referees department and we coordinate the referees. The coaches, we are the ones who do the coaching licenses. And through the PFGL, um, we are the ones who have an MOU with the PFGL. Ultimately, football in Jamaica is a responsibility of the JFF, ultimately, as designated by FIFA. Um, I'm not saying that people can't play competitions. People can play competitions, but if you do play a competition and the JFF does not sanction that competition, you're on your own with it. So recently, for example, a competition was played. JFF did not know about it, And normally when we know about a competition, it goes through our competitions committee, and we say, okay, these are the standards I have to meet. And someone was killed at the match, one of the matches. Right there, JFF had no responsibility, so there was no insurance or anything for that person. And basically, as JFF would say, hey, we know nothing about this, right? Um, so that is primarily the responsibility that we have as JFF. And I have to administer all of that, right, as the General Secretary. Now, how do you become the General Secretary? The Constitution the Constitution does state the roles of the General Secretary, which is the administration of everything in the office from an operations point of view. How you become General Secretary, though, is the board will ratify your appointment on the recommendation of the president. So the president will recommend the General Secretary because obviously the president wants to have someone that he has confidence in. And then the board will ratify that
All right. So
recommendation.
the reason I'm sorry to interrupt, but the reason why I ask this question is, what if me and the president are friend, good friend from long time. We don't really have a footballing knowledge, but probably have some accounting knowledge. Right. And he appoints me as the general secretary to be in a portfolio where it's solely football oriented. And I'm not that football oriented. Yes, I'm good at probably management and those stuff, but I'm not football oriented. In which I could say you could separate being the general secretary from the love of football. But is the love of football an aspect or one of the criteria of becoming the general secretary?
Well, you have to like the what you're doing,
or have a background, footballing background.
Right. I don't think you have to, because you have the general secretary and then you have the technical director, which is also defined under the Constitution. The technical director is the one who is supposed to oversee all the footballing aspect, right? From the all the technical aspects of it. We also have a competitions department, and that competitions department monitors all the competitions and everything. So I don't think so. I mean, a good teacher does not necessarily make a good principal, right? I think personally, being in the job, that it's more important to understand the fundamentals of good management and good governance to be in that job, because basically you're the CEO of the organization, right? You're really looking at ensuring that the operations run so that the company has gets its finances in correctly. You have to manage human resources. You have to manage the laws of the land, like tax laws and that sort of thing. So I think that is really the most important thing. A footballing background, of course, and knowledge is important. I mean, but it is not the defining thing. I would much rather, if I had the choice of someone who understood management, right, and does not understand football, or understand football and does not understand management.
I agree.
I think understanding management is much more important, and the governance is much more important than the football.
I agree with that. For me personally, I would prefer to have football-oriented person combined with great management management skills. For me, that's ideal aspect of it. And I've seen you at a few of the games. I'm sure you have seen me as well. That means that you have that a bit of passion for the sports, which is a good sign in my view. I would say. No, the key question I want to ask is this question. It's not a calculated question. It's not an articulated question. It's a blunt, very very blunt question.
Right.
And from a fan of the sport in Jamaica, of a lover of football in Jamaica, at all levels, I'm talking about from under 10 come right up. The question I want to ask is there a future for football in Jamaica?
I think there is a future for football in Jamaica. Um, I think that one of the things that has been missing is that we really haven't in the past managed the federation, I think, appropriately to the point where it is financially sustainable. And that I think is a major issue. Because if you're having internal issues from a financial sustainability point of view, you're not going to be able to focus on the other governance things you need to focus on. The other thing is that one of the things that you've seen that I'm trying to deal with is the lack of unity within football. So there's always been, I think, a lot of criticism around the JFF, and I think a lot of it has been unfounded. You'd have seen me in the media dealing with issues that certain people have come up with, and I said to them, "Where is the evidence?" So I think that JFF has been hurt in many respects by people saying things, and it's unfounded, and it's understood because football is a passionate sport, right? And people say things, but a lot of time people say things based on how their own feeling and interpretation is, not understanding the full thing, right? I mean, I always point to the issue of certain people that people always come against, right? There's a specific director, for example, and the president that I've always heard a lot of things about. And when I'm in there about 4 months now, and when I look at it, those things that have been said are not true, right? And if we don't get to the truth, we'll never solve the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've been trying to do. We have issues of discipline in football also, right? And you'd
Mm-hmm.
have seen certain steps have been taken to try and address that because you have to have a good foundation. You have to have good discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have to have good people in it, right? Which one of the issues that we've had is a matter of human capacity in football in general because football is our business. Jamaica has not treated football as a business. We treat it as something where,
Extracurricular activities.
yeah, an extracurricular activity, even at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to change that, especially with the Adidas deal coming on now. But in order to do that, we have to get rid of the negative criticisms and the negative attitudes, right? And I hear a lot of people, and people will say things, and not just football alone, you know. I always say to people, if you say something without evidence, you're
Mm-hmm.
nothing more than a gossiper, right? Because gossip is criticism without evidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. And I'm a fact based person, I'm an accountant. I will never, even if I feel, a certain way about something, I will never say anything about it until I have the evidence. If I say something, you can be guaranteed I have the evidence. I always tell people, I never ask a question I don't know the answer to, right?
Interesting.
Because it is not smart to ask a question you don't know the answer to, because you have to anticipate the next thing that's coming,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I find that that has been the issue, but football has a great future. I mean, look at Jamaica College as a microcosm, for example. I went to Jamaica College, right? And, I'll go and speak to the principal there. And Jamaica College, you see, is doing very well at Manning Cup, right? Football generally. They've developed a program there, right? And you know what the principal said to me
Mm-hmm.
when I sat with him? He says, listen, we have a football program that 5% of the boys might make it professionally, and a lot of them go on and make a lot of money. But he says every single one of them leaves school with a degree. That is where, and the president spoke about it, we can impact with football. The social aspect, the social impact of football, to deal with matters of elevation, financial elevation for people, and also the matter of crime, right? I mean, I'm just coming from Arnett Gardens, for example, right? I'm watching the Bob Marley One Love match, right? And I spoke to somebody and I said, "Oh, you're coming from Arnie guys, you're not afraid." No. When you go, I go to all of these places to watch football matches, and when you go, and you will know there's no fear because football is something that brings people together. That is how we have to channel it, right? So we can't look at football as something as, oh, you win this match. I posted something recently, and I said, boy, the girls did very well in Australia. The person said, did we win any matches? I said, no. Well, they didn't do any well. They failed. But guess what? I got my girls to play against the top teams in preparation
In
for
the
World
world.
Cup. I
Hmm.
got them the exposure. I got scouts looking at them and saying, these are the people, right, that we want for the future,
Okay.
right? I built a lot of confidence, right? I saw a lot of things that went wrong and we can fix for World Cup. That for me is a victory.
I would agree.
Those
I,
things
I would
are
agree.
victories, right? But the narrow view that we have is that, oh, something went wrong. So the thing is a failure. No, right? Because as I said to a few administrators the other day, when I was telling them about a decision that they've made incorrectly, I said, listen, football is not about us as administrators, you know. It is about the young boy and girl who has a vision, right? They want to be an international star, or they want to, like many others, take their families out of poverty and make a life for them. That is the objective of football. And until when we can understand that, then we will start to do much better as a country when we can understand that.
All right.
So that's our primary focus.
All right. So football is not dead then. Based off what you
No,
just
no,
highlighted.
football is definitely not. And
Uh,
in fact, the coach said, when he looked, he said, listen, Jamaica has so much talent. We have identified what the issues are, why the talent have come to the fore, but it is a great future for us.
all right. So question. If you should rank something as a failure, is it based off not reaching the accepted demands or objective, or the objective of the Reggae Girls were necessarily that they are going to win those games, but be competitive, see where they're at, and see if we can assess them and improve on the squad because we're playing against the top tier opponents in
Right,
world football. So we know that the results might not be favorable, but we want to see the competitive nature. So
right.
is the objective to win, or those factors that I just highlighted?
What you just spoke about, that was the objective that we went to the tournament with.
Okay, so if those are the objectives, then it can't be a failure. It only
It
a failure
can't.
if you went there to win those games and you didn't win.
Exactly, exactly. And this, remember, this is the tournament. So this is like friendly matches we're playing, right? The bigger prize is July. That is what we want. And for us, certainly for me, our objective in July would be achieved if we make it out of the first round, because a very tough round. We have Brazil and France there. And remember that their football history and culture is much, much longer than ours.
Yeah, true, true. Two
You
things,
know,
two
so if
things me
we,
always do compare when we compare the first one because me always got beaten because the reason why a lot of persons always would come at me is because I do a lot of extensive coverage of local
yeah,
football down to, as I said, the root of it, corner league football. A lot of people don't talk about tier 2 competition, major league football, under 10 competition, Kasafa under 10 competition, under 17, 10 catching under 17, Kasafa under 20. So I've done that extensive amount. And two factors. A lot of persons don't really understand what's happening in football in Jamaica. Two
right,
categories I always use: resources, culture. You have nations who have a footballing culture. You have nations who have resources. Let me say, i.e., Canada is a country with resources, not necessarily a footballing culture, but they have the resources to put things in place. Let's say Panama might not be the most resourceful, but they have a footballing culture.
yeah,
With Jamaica, we don't have both. We don't have a football culture. We don't have a resource. We don't have the resources. A lot of people don't understand. Now, let's move away to that. As I said, we don't touch on that. The image of the JFF is a part of your role as the GenSec to curve or control or project the image of the JFF, because we all know the stigma that has been attached to the JFF
Yeah,
brand, the
yeah.
image. Is it a part of your duty to really fixate that image in a way in which it's acceptable to the international standard, the global standard, and also within the diaspora and the country itself?
Yeah, no, definitely. And this is why I do a lot of interviews. This is why you'll see us doing a lot of press conferences and bringing a lot more transparency to it because we have to address the image. And I find Jamaicans do more damage to the JFF than international people do to the JFF and Jamaica, right? When I go abroad, right, I was at a coaches convention um, earlier this year, and they think that Jamaica and the JFF, right, are excellent brands. They think that our players, and in particular, they mentioned this girl Jodie Brown, right? They have such great talent. We as Jamaicans don't recognize that we have what we have, whether it is our football talent, right, um, or music, right? We don't recognize what Jamaica has. Remember when Adidas launched the first 4 hours, the site crashed because of the demand for Jamaica. Just last week, they had uh, an Adidas party, Adidas JFF party in Times Square, right?
Interesting.
You understand? The Adidas person told me, the Latin America told me that it's the first time they've ever seen Adidas have a deal with a federation and use a designer to take advantage of the culture, right? Remember at the time the Adidas and JFF deal were signed, they signed with Costa Rica and Italy at the same time. Did you hear the same excitement like you hear with Jamaica? No.
Not necessarily.
And we do a lot more damage to ourselves as Jamaicans than people overseas. Remember, Bob Marley, for example, was accepted first by who? By overseas
Overseas,
persons.
yeah.
And then we start accepting him, right? And that is one of the issues we face. And that's what I need to try and change because I know how Jamaicans are. Jamaicans are very harsh. And let me tell you, we get a lot of support. We get a lot more support
Should I ask
from people
can,
overseas.
1 second? Can I ask a question about that? Was that a local launch by Adidas or a JFF launch of the new kit?
A JFF launch.
Will there
It
be
was
a
told,
Adidas launch in locally?
no, 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 no.
Okay,
That is
interesting.
it. So JFF will work the brand locally because Adidas launches internationally, right? Any other launch that you see, any other event that you see happening around the place is the local Adidas stores that do it, right? And for an Adidas store in Times Square to do something like that, you know that they think this is prime thing, right? But that was solely JFF because you notice at that thing that we did on Tuesday, we also highlighted our sponsors and gave them some props. And we introduced a new sponsor. We have people who are coming now. This pharmacy, First Choice. A lot of people would not have heard about First Choice Pharmacy, which is in Portmore, before Tuesday, right? They came to us and said, we want to do something with JFF. And what did
Interesting.
they do? They came, and we have other people who come to us, right? And they say, we want to do something. And they are providing all the medical supplies to the girls, whichever girls team. So this is the sort of value that people get because everyone will know about First Choice now. And we'll always be speaking about First Choice, right? And after the launch, the launch we had on Tuesday, or the kit, um, we had one or two sponsors come to us and say, hey, we want to do a lot more because they see the value, right? This is a huge thing. The comments that we got online on YouTube were very positive, and that's what we need to do to change the thing. And as I said, my experience is that a lot of what is said externally is not so. And this is why you'd have seen, as I said, I've had to go in the media and deal with certain things that have been said. Which when I say, okay, where's the evidence? They can't provide the evidence, right? And because I have to defend the JFF image, what was happening before is that no one was doing it, right? So if someone is going to come and say something unjustified against JFF, I'm going to go out there and they need to provide the evidence on it.
Okay, so as regards to the image, it's important. It's a part of your role. All right, definitely for sure understand that. And so far you have been doing a lot of damage, a
Yeah.
lot of damage control. Yeah. No, I there's this question. This question is actually one of the first question I wanted to ask you, but for some reason on my list of questions here got mixed up. What for every business have an ideal of how they want to provide a particular service to their customer, the customer, consumers, viewers, or whatever. The question I want to ask is, what is the mission statement of the JFF? Or because the thing that some of these questions I don't really want to short because you're early in the office and
No, but we do have a mission statement. The JFF about 2 years ago developed a 5-year strategic plan. So we have that 5-year plan, and I discussed it with CONCACAF at a meeting the other day, right? So we have a strategic scorecard and everything for the JFF with timelines. Basically, the mission statement speaks to the development of football and using it as a social tool, right?
social
Um,
tool.
yeah, that is really what we want from it. What has happened, I think, is that JFF never really had a strategic roadmap to say this. I mean, we've always known where we wanted to go, but what was missing is the map to get there. So we say, okay, we want to go to Montego Bay. We did not choose the most efficient route and plot it out,
Just head
right?
out.
We just head out, right? And that is what we're trying to do now. And I think that there's a lot of positives. So if you look, for example, and I pointed out two things. Number one, if you saw the plan that the coach has, Hal Grimson, he outlined a 4-year plan to 2026, which includes preparation for Gold Cup, getting into the top
Six
6 in CONCACAF to get to the
World
Copa
Cup.
America, right? And then get into the World Cup, right? And all the games he wants to play in all the FIFA international windows, right? We also have plans in place. So the Horace Burrell Center, for example, we have done some upgrade work there, and we have put an online reservation system there for it. Just today, we got some rentals for it, and we've been getting queries, right?
Interesting.
And we're working with John Wall, who is one of the assistant coaches who came on talent development. So going into every nook and cranny, you spoke about people not understanding the football development. That is what we're trying to do. Identify the talent everywhere. You heard the coach yesterday also speak to um, the fact that the biggest issue he thinks in Jamaica right now is that we don't have any good pitches,
I
right?
disagree with him on that,
I don't disagree with him.
All right, let me tell you
We
why
don't.
I disagree with him.
Yeah.
Um, I believe that the pitches are a big issue. Without a doubt, it is a big issue. I mean, you can look right across the world where we don't necessarily say that we have the worst pitches. Remember, the coach himself said that he's coming from somewhere where, well, they use artificial grass. But you look in the African countries, they don't have necessarily the best pitches. But my personal belief, and this is what I have seen from the grassroots level of football, and I can speak on various. I've traveled to all different parishes, every single parish in Jamaica, and watch football at every single level. Under 10, under 13, under 12, under 9, under 7, under 15, under 16. Most persons who know me would know that is my profile in seeing what is happening in football in Jamaica. And I can categorically say that I personally believe that coaching is a bigger issue for Jamaican football rather than the pitches that we have. I would prefer to have in the light of the day, the best coach is the best pitch. That's the best thing to have. But I prefer to have the best coaches on a bad pitch versus a beautiful pitch and not good coaching. It would be my
I, I,
personal preference.
so I understand what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the both of them are equally important because one of the points he made, which is very true,
Mm-hmm.
he says if Messi came to Jamaica and played on our pitches, he would become an average player, which makes sense because if you can't do the one touch, right, because
Mm-hmm.
the ball is bouncing, right, so when it comes to you, you have to take 2 or 3 touches,
Mm-hmm.
right, and that is an issue. But I also agree with you that the coaching is an issue,
Mm-hmm.
right, and we're trying to develop that. So we have two fronts working on both of them. We have contracted someone who is working on the pitches throughout the country, and we've designated about 6 pitches that we want to develop in the short term,
Mm-hmm.
right? Including our own pitch at the Captain Hospital Center, the grass field, also the one in Montego Bay, the
Mm-hmm.
Catherine's Hall. That one needs a lot of work also. But we're also working on the coaching aspect of it. We have now about five qualified A license coaches, and we have another 5 or so that's in the program.
Can I ask a
We're
question
trying to
on that?
expand that.
Can I ask a
Huh?
question? I would want to ask a question on that. We have um uh, 7 A license coaches. Seven or seven? Is it 7? I think
Yeah.
it's 7 A license coaches, and these A license coaches, the coaching course is done in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at what's happening specifically within the CONCACAF region, the better countries who are progressing in football, their coaching license that they're going to do within the art. So, for example, Liga MX, that's a Mexican league. Most of those coaches aren't necessarily being certified or trying to do the course, the CONCACAF courses. They're trying at a higher level. So, my
Yeah.
question is, would we take our time to move away from just being CONCACAF certified with the highest CONCACAF level to at least maybe going to the European standard, which is
Yeah,
a
man.
higher level, higher
So all
degree?
of that. So all of that will happen, but we're taking the steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first we're looking at getting people up to the A license in CONCACAF, right? Which then qualifies them to move on to the higher level, right? But where we are now, we don't have, I agree with you, the quality of coaches,
Mm-hmm.
right, that we need to have. And therefore, these are the steps that we're doing to move to that level. So this is why we've had to bring Coach Hal Grimson here and these 2 other assistant coaches with him, right? A part of what he's going to do is help to develop the persons around him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the the road to that though is not going to be a very short term road because if someone comes in, if someone does a degree, for example, right, they don't necessarily can manage at a
Right
high
away.
level once they do the degree.
Mm-hmm.
They need experience first, and that is what the Halgrims is here. He's going to help with all of that because there are certain fundamental things he does. um, One of the main things he spoke about, which he showed to me, right? He not only laid out a 4-year plan as to what he wants to do and the milestones in between he wants to achieve, which is really project management. He also said, hey, we don't have a database of players. And he developed an extensive database, which he showed me. He said a very important thing also. He said, listen, at the World Cup just gone, the best players were 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We need to look at 18-year-old from now,
All right.
right?
So the truth is, no, we do have a database. We do have a database, but that database has been really, really outdated.
Yeah.
Because even today I was looking at database. I saw myself, and I said,
If
"What?
it's outdated, it's not really a database. I
It is
mean,
a
it's not
database,
relevant.
but outdated,
Yeah.
which needs to upgrade. Because if I can see myself, my age, and those information being accessible, it means that there's a database. But
Yeah.
definitely that's something to improve on significantly because a lot of the players who represented us at under 17, under 20 level, they're not on it. So which means that, as I said, it's still non and void. One of the aspects I will touch on is this suggestion is maybe similar to like a short-term fix or a short-term solution, something that can assist with us moving forward. Owing to the fact that Mr. Al Grimson has been coaching at the highest level, has one of the highest accreditation in his coaching license. Would it be possible for him to every now and then, like once a week or even once a month, conduct like a coaching clinic with the other coaches within Jamaica,
Well,
um,
I tell you
to see
something.
if we can at least
We've
further some of
start,
these coaches without even get the
yeah,
certification,
yeah.
but
Well,
first-hand
we've
knowledge.
started that, because we started it with a goalkeeper coach. So just this week, we had some sessions with the goalkeeper coach, right? So we'll be doing more of those things. But remember, Algrim's just came in January. They just came in January. There's a lot more things to do because we have the preparation of the senior team, right? But that sort of knowledge will be passed on,
Yeah.
right? So we will be doing a lot more of those things. Um, is just that is a timing issue that we need to get to.
All right, totally understand that. But in the further long run, I would love to see some more of that being implemented. Now, the reason why I have a major issue with the coaching. Now, there are coaches in Jamaica that I can say these coaching, albeit not that highly qualified, they seem far more superior to the other coaches in how their teams apply themselves. Totally. And I've seen at even at the schoolboy level where teams play a European brand of football, where a particular team play a European brand of football. And many, I thousands of Jamaicans ask the question, why can't we see even at the highest level in Jamaican football or teams in Jamaica football, the Jamaican Premier League or even the Reggae Boys playing this similar brand of football? So that's why the reason I said coaching, I do put point on everything towards the aspect of coaching. Now, you touch on a topic where you said that using football as a social tool in the CONCACAF program, right? Now, that I wrote it down and put an asterisk beside it because I believe that my personal view, it's a dangerous road to go. Now, let me tell you why. Let me explain why I would say that. For years and years, for back into the 1982 or 1986, when you had what was community cup, something like that, when the Jamaica Premier League just a start off. It's 1972 and 1986. These were the bridges of the new development of the Jamaica Premier League. And during that time period, football was used as a community program, as a socializing agent for crime and violence in the area to bring the community together, to assist us in regulating the young boys, to just to be a better citizen in Jamaica. That was the direction that we had football. That was what we were doing in football back then. The social tool element now, if you look anywhere else in the Caribbean, well, maybe not once in the Caribbean, on the global region, the top teams, the top leagues, football, the major criteria of football is the business factor. No sentiment, no social experiment, no community program.
No,
It's
yeah,
totally
yeah, yeah.
business.
But I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that we should let socialization drive football. I'm saying football is a social elevation tool also because the person who excels in it gets to enjoy, as I was saying about Jamaica College, a scholarship, right? It's not that we're going to compromise football objectives by saying, hey, this is really a social thing. No, what it is I spoke to the talent development scheme, is giving the opportunity to people. So the more and more football that we play gives the opportunity to identify people, right, who can actually elevate themselves through football. So not that we're gonna use socialization to drive football, but is that football is gonna help persons as they socialize because someone who has the opportunity, right, who is very talented and has the opportunity to do well, in many respects, do not get that opportunity now, right? And that's the issue. And FIFA recognized it also, which is why FIFA is putting so much money behind talent development. But if we were to put the feelers out there, right, and look for talent everywhere, we can actually have a social impact on the country, right? Because if you have 100 persons who get scholarships and do well, each person might impact three persons,
True. I agree with that.
right? And that is what we're trying to do,
Okay.
right?
Ripple
We're trying
effect.
to recognize that aspect of it. It's not that we're going to let socialization destroy football. It's just that we want football to be given an opportunity to everyone. So if we start, for example, one of the things is if we start introducing football to people at an early age. So, for example, the coaches in the US tell me that mothers are coming with their children to camps who are 2 years old.
Okay.
So, from 2, 3 years old, they're playing football. So, eventually, when they grow up, if we have 10 times the amount more people playing football than we do now, particularly the women, because we don't have a lot of women playing, then can you imagine what would happen in terms of the impact on some of those families,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we have more people getting the opportunity to elevate themselves. And that
Understood.
that is really the angle I'm taking it from.
Definitely, definitely. Understood. All right. So another aspect I want to touch on, in which you mentioned earlier, the Adidas deal. So I noticed in recent time, and I've gotten reports that the young reggae boys that are playing, even the reggae girls are playing, they are playing in the replica. I want confirmation on this. If they're playing in the replica jersey, not the original, and
Yeah,
also,
yeah, that's rubbish. That's rubbish.
okay, also the goalkeeper top is not an official
But
Jamaican jersey.
the goalkeeper top that one of them that we had to play in the under 17 was something that was not an official one, but we had to use a training gear for it. And the reason why we did that is because when we got the kits from Adidas, only one color came. And
Oh,
that's what we had to do, right, with that. And we had to register the colors with CONCACAF the morning of the match. And we didn't get the other kit until the day after the first match. And that is what caused it, right? So those issues,
mm-hmm.
I mean, we know issues will arise. I mean, in the camp, for example, one of the other pluses that happened to us in the camp in Australia, we did have issues, but the management that was there, they were very proactive, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I always said. Because you're going to have issues in football, Remember, we're dealing with 20 something players from all over the world, right? So you must have travel issues, right? Because you're talking about taking people from all over the world. What we have done, which has helped a lot significant in the recent months, is that we have put in place just one travel consultant. He
Mm-hmm.
gets all the quotes for us, right? And then says, hey, these are the costs. This is the one I'm recommending and why I'm recommending it. Sometimes we have to go with one that's a little more, because some of the things you have to consider, for example, is that you might be able to get flights for yourself as an individual, and you sit in economy, but we can't put our players in economy. Why? Because they need leg room.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, their legs are very important. It's important that their legs get proper circulation and rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have situation like what happened in Australia. Two girls got injured at the last moment. We had to substitute two girls immediately, and therefore they didn't reach until the day of the first match, right? And it's not like you can just carry extra people, because
There's a
people
mandate.
are designated to positions.
Mm-hmm.
So I might carry two extra strikers, and it's two defenders get injured.
True.
I'm gonna have a
Understood.
problem. Those are some of the logistical issues that we need to deal with that people don't understand. So the under 17s, for example, we had to book a return ticket from Guatemala, and therefore we booked it for the 26th, which is the last day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happened? They got kicked out of the tournament before,
Mm-hmm.
and as the one of the rules is that once you're out, you have to
Leave.
leave. we had to the travel consultant with the manager was on was looking about it till 3 a.m. Sunday morning to try and get them out Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't get them out Sunday, even though they were supposed to leave from Sunday. So what did we have to do? We had to ensure that they had the hotel, a
Book.
hotel for one more night,
Yeah.
right?
So that's extra
And
costs.
then, right, and then get them out Monday, right? Not everybody going to the same place. You have visa issues you need to address also. So not everybody can go the same routes, right? So those are some of the things people don't understand. You know, you deal with people that they have club commitments. So everybody is not going to be able to arrive at the same time, right? So the other day when we had the Argentina match, for example, to get Shamar Nicholson, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had to send him around the world. Why? Because of the Ukraine and Russia war.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't get any flights, you know, the direct flights that he normally gets. And those are some of the major issues we have to deal with. Now we're going to have issues that we have with the under 17s who are leaving. We had 14 of them because of some issues in terms of some management issues that should have happened. They didn't go. But what you should judge us on, immediately as we found out about it, we were able to, and I was able to call Jamaica Tourist Board. Jamaica Tourist Board, you know, God bless them, put me on to COPA International, right? And then I got someone who is in charge locally, Latoya Scott. God bless her too. You know what COPA did for us? COPA sent a larger aircraft to get the 14 boys out. If
Oh.
people who know airline business know what the cost of that
Whew.
is.
So did they work something out for you guys?
They sent a larger aircraft to get the 14 boys out. And that's what they did. They never asked us any favor or anything. But I had to give them a lot of props for that.
Wow. Oh, that's
You
that, that's
know?
that's really interesting. That's very very interesting.
Yeah,
That one.
and we got it done the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, I personally went to the airport with the boys and went before the counter opened. You know what Copa did for us again? They had a special line with two dedicated counters for the boys.
Seems
Check
that
them in,
it seems that
right?
JFF need to work with Copa on
Of
something here.
course, of course. I mean, big up to Copa for that. It shows that Copa is a very accommodating airline,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, one of the issues, so, is that when they went to Guatemala, um, Guatemala is not as easy a place to get to as the US.
Mm-hmm.
So when all the Copa flights going down there, they're full. So we have to work out a lot of logistics, right? One of the rumors that start, and you know, people love to start rumors. Somebody called me, boy, I hear that no adults went down with the 14 boys that went down the day after. That's a rumor people ready to start, you know. But an adult
Is
was
it
there
so?
who,
Is it so?
eh?
Is it so for real? Was it a
No,
rumor?
no, an adult went down because one of the trainers went down with them. And the last thing I said to him is make sure you take care of these boys.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to hear a few days after, boy, we hear that no adults went down with them. I'm like, really? You know what I mean? If someone is now ready before they're ready to start gossip. Because the first thing that they should do is what? Call and find out, right?
Mm-hmm. Clarify. Clarity is always good.
Yeah. But what they're ready to do, they're ready to start gossip. You know, and
Interesting.
that's what creates a lot of the issues. And it's our own Jamaican who want to do it.
But all right. So I would understand that, but I also have to look at. All right. So there's something called like a deep wound in which the top of it heal, but internally it's not
Yeah.
really healed or it's trying to heal. Many of the fans where it's like a form of PTSD. We're in a little flashback. So the moment the first initial when we had the traveling incident, it brought us way back straight into the camp, the World Cup qualifiers
Yeah, man. Yeah,
campaign.
man.
So
But
you have to.
but
I do think that the JFF maybe they're taking that we as fans are the supporters are being a bit harsh, but it's not only being harsh. I do believe that we have been suffering based of many different
no,
issues.
I agree with you, you know, but let's look at it this way. You have an issue, a man has an issue with his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he did something that his wife caused her to have some concerns, trust issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to resolve anything by her accusing him falsely of something in the future?
No, it's not,
No.
but it's
Right.
going to be make her be a bit cautious
Yeah, but
and
therefore,
assume.
but therefore, what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
right, is that if we want things to improve, just like that man and woman, then we have to understand that I agree, right? Things, things, things went wrong, right? And we're trying to fix it, right? But we have to ensure, and criticism is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I always say, if there was never disagreement, then the wheel would still be square,
Yeah, true.
right? But you have a responsibility, and I go through it all the while as someone who manages people,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could, for example, say, oh, that person had an issue in the past. So you know what? I'm not even going to ask them any question. I believe that's what they did, and I'm going to fire them. Would
All
that
right,
be right?
all right, Mr. Trump. Let me give you a story, right? So when I
Yeah.
was working, when I was within the when I was in the army, right? I
Yeah.
used to be a lance corporal. Sometime acting as other sergeant, where I'm in control of quite a few soldiers, and for me, I have to understand the personalities of each soldier that I'm working with. So there's this one particular soldier where he's always late, consistently late, and he was reprimanded. They reprimanded him at one point in time. I said, okay. He said, fine, move on. Me not here now. Done with that. Ray. And about a few weeks later, we're having the general parade and he was not there. My first assumption is he's late. That's my first assumption. And I would have, my memory would take me way back to when he used to do the same. Is it just turn up late, randomly turn up late for no reason? And the reason why my brain, psychologically, I'll go to that place is because I've already experienced that issue with him. So that those memories and same feeling, emotional feeling, would have gathered and come back at that point in time. So I would understand where give a chance and understand situation will come in play. But yes, I do think we'd have to
Yeah,
understand that
man. But
Earth doesn't
you
really
know
leave.
what great leaders do? Great leaders always look at things independently. So, one of the things you learn is that never use someone's history to judge them, right?
Interesting.
Because if you do that, you could be losing a very good worker, right? Because, you know, I've had situations where you see someone have a problem, and when you look behind the issue why they have the problem, it's like even children, you see children acting out at school. If a
Underlying
teacher
factors.
was to just act based on how they act out at school and not even go into their background, they might be abused at home,
Agree.
and I think
Agree.
that I am not, I will never say to anybody that they must just listen to what I say. I don't want that, right? But what I want is for people, when they come with something, like when someone comes out of the day, oh, the under those under 14, the under 17, but the 14 of them, they went without an adult. They didn't check it out. How do you make an accusation like that? That's gossip. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, you know, when we are supposed to get our licks, give us our licks, right? But do it based on facts,
Yeah.
right? That's all I'm saying, right? Give us our licks. I don't mind licks, right? Because it makes me a better person, right? But do it based on facts. Because at the end of the day, the important thing for some people, and the be all and end all for them, is that, hey, of course I have JFF and I put them in their place. No, but the bigger picture is football in Jamaica, and the youth who at 11 years old say, boy, I have a dream like Martin Luther King, and I want to be a Messi or a Ronaldo. That is what we are doing football for. That is why I do this. right? Because I want those little children to have an opportunity, and that's how we're going to develop Jamaica, right? That is the bigger picture, and that is where I think there is. We need to look and say, hey, this is our responsibility, not to just hit out at an organization or hit out at a person, right? And I mean, it must be a very miserable life to do that sort of thing,
Um, yeah,
right?
I would understand. People do also have their opinion, and yeah, it might be wrong, but it's still their opinion. And many times I've been here and I've heard many people saying a lot of things in which I'm even close associated to, and I know it's wrong, but I do think that people are entitled to their opinion. If you tell them that, hey, you need to check that, and they decide that they will sit their guns, fine by them. And then now you'd realize that they're just basically spreading misinformation in that aspect. All right, so we want to touch on the aspect of what is happening in Jamaica's football right now. So at present
Yeah,
moment,
I have a few more minutes.
all
Yeah,
right, okay,
yeah,
okay, all right. So since yeah, I forgot that half an hour fly past fast, half an hour fly
yeah,
past fast. All right, so we're gonna touch on the last aspect. Let's close off on this. So we're gonna close off on the same aspect of where we started. The big question I asked:
yeah.
is there a future for football in Jamaica? And you gave us a very much an astounding answer. I want to ask, when can we see definite changes? I know it's going to be a time period where coaches and those things are involved.
Yeah, yeah.
When do you think the fans will be seeing the implications of things that are being inputted into the system right at this present moment? Can we have a time span where we'll likely see some
Yeah,
changes?
those things have started already, Remember, um, first of all, when we had the FIFA Congress, the Congress last year, right? For the very first time, and I did say it publicly, for the very first time in a long time, we actually issued the annual report, the General Secretary report, according to Constitution 40 days before. We put a new constitution in place where there's a broader base. So whereas the parishes, for example, had 13 of 17 votes to vote in a president, they now have 26 of 56 votes. We have representation from the players, we have representation from associations, affiliated associations like referees and so, right? We put in place a sexual harassment policy, right, to protect persons within the office and also on the teams, and especially the children. We put in place a safeguarding policy, safeguarding for children policy, right? We put in place a whistleblower policy. We put in place a procurement policy.
Oh, question. Are those policies being put in place on the basis of you guys seeing the need to do it, or a mandate from CONCACAF or FIFA?
Seeing need to do it,
Interesting. Okay.
right? The procurement policy was something that before I came there, FIFA had said, well, we have to put it in. But the others are things that we say. I personally said I want to do it because, especially the sexual harassment, I don't play with that.
All right.
So
So,
I have started background checks on all my coaches and everyone to do it. And I'm going to go next to all the staff that have to interact with children,
so Mr.
right?
Chung,
I've started
are
background,
you,
criminal, and other checks on them.
question again, are you concerned that these things weren't in place in the initial stage when you came in office?
If I'm concerned,
Were you concerned? Yes, are you still concerned that these things weren't in place when you came into
yeah,
office?
yeah, but yeah, man, and that's why I did it. But you know what? Um, I don't have a time machine, so I can't change the past. My focus always is on the future, which is why when everyone was making noise about the under 14 boys not going and missing their flight, my focus was for that day, getting them on the next day. So I never even hear all the comments that were being made because my thing is that I wanted to get them on the next day so that they could make it for the flight. And they made it, they got in like 12 hours after the other boys that went in. So it wasn't a long period after, but that was my focus. So everything that I do, I focus on future. What happened in the past, happened in the past. And The only way I see the past as relevant is to guide the future, because I can't. I don't know anybody who has been able to go back in the past and live.
All right. All right.
I have
Agree.
to look
I
at
agree.
tomorrow.
But we're in the present right now, and we've had experiences in the past. Now,
Yeah.
the last thing I want to touch on is the accountability. Now, is what should happen if we should see similar incident happen in the near future? Who should take accountability of those actions? Because we said we're moving forward, and we
Oh
said
well,
we're
the book
trying.
stops. Listen, the book stops with me.
Okay. Okay.
That's where, and I've said it when the under 14 thing happened. It was
Oh,
unfortunate,
the under
right?
17.
Because
The under 17.
I said stop with me. I mean, even though I know I went over the checklist the day before and I said, hey guys, this needs to happen, but the book stop with me, and therefore I have to take decisions. Which is why when I take a decision and some people say, boy, why you do that? I don't care what I say because I know the book stop with me. So I am going to take the decision to ensure that that thing doesn't happen again, right? And that's just how I operate, right? If we see, and I'm not saying that things won't happen. What you should judge the JFF on, because as I said, there are a lot of moving parts in football, a lot, right? We can have a match, for example, and referee is just not available. You know what we're going to do? You confirm with people and then they say, boy, they can't make it again, right? What we have to judge people on is how do you fix a challenge as soon as it's done. So I spoke about the managers in Australia. They were very proactive. They saw the thing happening and they called me. I was on the phone with them almost every day. They called me and said, boy, listen, we need to do so and so. And that is how I want people to start thinking within the organization. I think I've gotten a lot of people thinking like that now, right? That, hey, our job as administrators is to see problems before they happen or before they become big problems. What was happening in the past is that a lot of things would happen and you don't take the steps to fix it, right? But things will happen.
All right. So
This is football is, let me tell you, the business of football is bigger than many companies.
I agree. It's a multi-billion dollar organization.
Many companies, not just multi-billion dollar, but the amount of things that you have to deal with, the amount of moving parts, just to deal with one team alone.
Agree. I totally agree.
You know,
So since you're on the aspect of taking accountability, we have seen in recent time a lot of failed World Cup campaigns or World Cup attempts to make it to World Cup. The last one was the under 17. Would you
Yeah.
say that the buck stops with you on that one as well? And
and honestly,
yeah, the under 17
yeah,
qualification.
well, everything always stops with me. I'm at the head of the organization. So it stops with me.
What are you going to do about it so that it
Well,
doesn't
I
happen
don't
again?
know yet, and people ask me, I don't know it because I haven't gotten the report,
Okay.
the technical report. So I have to get the technical report. I remember I got 2 red cards there, and they didn't seem justified,
True.
right?
Some yellow cards that
But
weren't justified as well.
I have to get the technical report. And once I get that technical report, right, then I can sit down with my technical team and say, hey, this is what happened here. What are the things that we need to do to address that? Right? And that's what we're going to do. So that report we expect to get in another day or two, right? And then we're going to go over that report, right? And make some decisions on it, right?
How long now the
And that
competition
is
has completed?
the competition. We came home
Well,
on
yeah, when we
Monday.
came home.
We came home
Monday.
on Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, so a few days has passed. All right, so when are we expecting to see this report? Or are you even get any information on the report?
I was told that the report would get to me in about 48 hours. I was told that on Tuesday. So I expect by Thursday, Friday, that I'll get that report and then we'll see. And I'm going to be away at CONCACAF Congress at that time also. So, maybe on Monday when we come in, we'll deal with it. But, as I said, there are a lot of moving parts. For example, people will see incidents happen on TV, for example. we can't we have to be dispassionate and objective about it as the persons who administrate. So whereas somebody can rail up and say, boy, this person is so and so, we can't do that. We have to wait on the match commissioner report, we have to wait on a referee report and any other thing. And then for me, I can't, unless that person is employed to JFF, I can't rule on that. It has to go to the disciplinary committee first. And then the disciplinary committee, which is appointed by Congress, not the administration, will rule on it and say, according to the regulations that are in place, these are the things that we are imposing. So a lot of those things that happen are out of our hands.
All right, last
If
question.
it's yeah.
This is the last question I'm going to ask you because at the start of the interview, we discussed specifically the Reggae Girls objectives and aims. Now, you are solely a part of this Under 17 campaign. And my question to you is, the Under 17 campaign, was the objective to qualify for the Under 17 World Cup or to go there and participate and be competitive, showcasing our skill set?
To qualify, the objective was to qualify.
So in your perspective, that would have been a failure of a campaign?
Yeah, because the objective was to qualify. So we did not meet the objective on that. As to why we didn't meet the objective, then that will come out in the report.
Okay.
Right? And then we can decide that. But, I always say to people, and I mean, I used to play a lot of football too. You remember when we are preparing our team and we think that our team is the best, the opponent also prepares their team to think their team is the best.
True.
So it's not one team playing football.
100%.
It's two people playing. I mean, I cycle, for example, and someone told me once that they were doing a race from Kingston to Mandeville, right? And some people came and said, boy, I put in a lot of training and I still get left. Remember that your opponent is always preparing also. Right? And that's just how sports is. That's how competition is, even within organizations in terms of, the companies in business, right? People are always preparing. So is it that we didn't have enough intelligence? Is it that we didn't do enough preparation? Because football today, is not just about having the best team, but also understanding what your opponent is doing.
And nullify the opponent. Agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, it happens sometimes. What we need to do, I don't think that we would say, boy, because someone did not make it, then we're going to say, boy, good. No, what we have to look at is why, because they could have done everything that they possibly could do, right? And remember also, Jamaica is a country that we don't have a lot of money. You understand what I'm saying?
Two factors: resources, culture, as I mentioned earlier.
Resources and culture, right? Those things. So when for example, persons saw the indiscipline that happened with the Premier League match the other day, we had to step in and act quickly because that is the culture that exists, right? I mean, it's like the driving on the road, right? I'll hear people cursing. I hear people all about, boy, the taxi man, this and that. And then they're the same persons when the big fines come, they say, boy, how you so wicked to them? To giving that big fine. When the way to really avoid fines is not to break the law.
Yeah. Agree.
So I mean, it's a lot of dynamics to have to work on. But as I said, the book always stops with me. I have to act.
All right, Mr. Chung. Thank you very much, Silka. You know that you actually said half an hour and went way beyond that.
Yeah.
I went way beyond that. But really, really appreciate you coming and taking the time out of your day to just answer some general questions, maybe some questions I've heard before, and maybe some you haven't heard before. But really, really appreciate you coming on. Definitely, we are looking to see better things moving forward from here. We want to support 100% without any PTSD or any heart failure, any burnt areas in our heart, because we are suffering. We are really, really suffering. The fans are suffering. We want to support. We want to pour our heart out into the team, and for some reason there is a bit of hindrance in that part. And it's a communication goes both ways, but there's always interference. And apparently, we're trying to communicate with the Reggae Boys, Reggae Girls,
One of the
passionately.
ways, one of the ways that people can assist, right, is buy the jerseys and the kits, so that because we get a percentage of it. A lot of people, right, they will say, "Boy, this and that and that. Why JFF down the money?" And I said to them, "Have you bought the kit?" They said, "No." You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, funny enough, sad to say this, still, but you have been getting quite a backlash about the Puma jersey you have, the Puma gear you have on.
Oh well, this is because I just put this on because I was going to the Bob Marley, but this is Jamaica's Olympic jersey.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
getting a
yeah. I
quite, but
mean, yeah.
totally understand. I do think people are eager to support, especially people in diaspora are definitely supported. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately, the
Buy
jersey
the
is
kit,
there stuff
buy the
here that
kit,
Jamaicans
buy the
can get in
jerseys
Jamaica.
online. Buy the jerseys online. That's the best way to support us.
But when them gonna reach?
No, they're available online. They're gonna come to Jamaica. They're sending a shipment here for someone to distribute. But we buy everything else online. We go to Amazon and buy everything online.
Yeah, but we don't want to pay shipping costs on them something.
Oh, you mean to get
We try
yeah,
to
but
find them something.
your
Mr. Chung,
shipping
you have to
costs.
remember that the countries we're not a rich society where we can
Yeah.
just jump online.
No, I
Jamaica most
understand that. I
famous
understand.
shopping place, a Sheen.
Yeah, I understand that, and we're trying to get some here, but we have to work with Adidas on it, because they're responsible for the distribution. But I was told our shipment is coming here to be sold through a local supplier, right? But hey, I mean, the shipping on something like this is not a lot of money. It's light, just buy it online. A lot of people also can buy something and somebody coming on and they carry it.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, that can work out, but not many people have that privilege still. not, not many
No, but the
people.
shipping cost is not. And I agree. And one of the things I'm looking at is, can we, for example, at JFF facilitate people buying it through us and we just getting it in and reducing the shipping costs.
All right, no
Yeah.
problem at all. All right, so thank you very much for taking the time out to come on
Yeah,
and
man. No
assist us,
problem.
definitely. Hopefully the jersey reach Jamaica so we can buy it if you avoid the shipping costs, because we already know the money to go pay. And jersey, we know jersey quite we're gonna support, but we don't want to pay the shipping cost. But Mr. Chung, really appreciate taking the time out today. Hopefully we can have another chat at some point in time in
Yeah,
the near
man. No
future.
problem.
Maybe after the female World Cup, or maybe leading to the female World Cup, or
Yeah.
in the Gold Cup region. Hopefully I get the opportunity to maybe go in America to support the boys in the Gold Cup campaign. Hopefully I get that opportunity. But thank you very much again for coming on, and I really
Okay.
appreciate it. And I'll see you sometime soon. Maybe I want to the JPL match. Yeah, more than likely I'm going to see you. But blessings and massive respect for coming on, and ensure you have a good night and safe travels on the journey.
Yeah, man. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right,
Okay,
no
guys.
problem.
Bye.
All right, people. So that was General Secretary Mr. Butcher that I can't butcher that I go. Mr. Dennis Chung. Ooh. People in the comment section, please do smash that like button. Would really appreciate it if you do so. Big up, coach. Massive respect. So you have all heard from the General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation. So I'll be doing a show tomorrow. Tonight I'm gonna close off, people. I'm just coming from a game. Major League team JDF versus Tier 2 team True Juice. JDF defeat the Major League team, defeated the Tier 2 team actually 2-0. That's football. That is football. People, please do smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're here for the first time. Everyone in the comment section, Burp, Jason Guna, Coach, Marsha, Rob Smith, Wicked Man, brr. Blessings and MPEC, everybody, people. I might miss your name, but please do hit the like button. And please, people, try and support the GoFundMe, people. That to them in the pan road, that search, even though holiday, I search with camera. Unfortunately, hard to get the prices. Mad. But the right prices, me not book up on them. So people, please also continue to support the movement. Massive appreciation people. And if you can become a member, the link is in the pinned comment section. Big up Rose Gold for becoming a member of the platform. Really, really appreciate it, people. People, smash the like button, hit that like button. As I said, support the Patreon or become a member of the channel. Robinson said, coach of linking. All right, big up, people. MG Sports. Somebody said, wholesale business. MG Sports TV, people. Big up. We are out. Boom. Tomorrow, people. Tomorrow. We are out. How do you think there? Can't find it. Back 'em.